Hi everyone, I'm Evangeline here at eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at the Yakima OnRamp LX here on our 2024 Dodge Durango. This is going to be a great pairing together if you are carrying around extra heavy electric bikes, and since the Durango has a taller hitch, you want a ramp, especially one that's attached to the bike rack already. So this is gonna be just a look at how this fits on a Durango, as well as some tips and tricks you may want to know if you want this bike rack. While this bike rack is awesome with its super high weight capacity and the ramp, there's one thing I wish it did just a little bit better, and that's the tilt-away process. For this process, I do recommend having a second person help you out. It is doable with just one person, but dependent on how heavy your bike is. So let me show you what I mean. Here on the shank, you're gonna see these two knobs. So the first one you can remove completely. We're just gonna let that one hang. The second one involves a little bit of a pinch and then a pull. So if you have a second person to help hoist the bike rack up, that will make this a little easier. That's because once you pull that lever, the bike rack is gonna go down. So imagine having 160 pounds of bikes on here, and that's gonna go down pretty quick unless someone else is there to assist. Now, you can see though it was worth it, because look at all that access to our hatch. Hatch door clears. Even with our mountain bike handlebars, I can now reach in there, grab waters, helmets, backpacks, switch out shoes if I want to, all without having to take off the heavy bikes. So if you are someone that needs to get into your hatch, this could be a good option for you. And the good news is that once you do get this up into position, that knob that you pinched and pulled earlier does slide back in to hold that position. All you technically need to do is put that other pin right back in. Now the bike is mounted by 3 different touch points. So you have your front and your rear wheel straps. You also have the chock supporting the rear of those wheels. So when you press this lever, you can then remove the wheel strap front and back. Now these trays are also adjustable for your different wheelbases. So it does require a little bit of setting up the first time you put your bike on there, but I think it is worth it just because of how secure it gets your bikes. Now before we remove our bike though, we are going to remove this ramp. So in the center of the rack, we have this ramp secured with this knob. I'm just gonna take that knob out so that we can take this ramp out. This ramp comes apart and then goes back together in a puzzle style. So compared to other ramps that slide apart for a length, this one slots into different holes, and then you secure it with knobs. And then once you've done all that, you can then just fit it into the side of your bike rack. See how that goes up and then down. And now we can remove our frame mount. So this is an adjustable frame mount that you could just secure about different points of your bike's frame. Now, if you have, let's say, a step-through bike or just an alternate frame, that helps to add some variety in there. Some people don't like having frame contact just because of their finish of their bike. So that is something to consider. You may want to get a frame adapter bar if that bothers you a lot. But now that we have that removed, I can then just ramp the bike down the ramp. It is kind of steep because our Durango's high up, but so much easier compared to having to hoist the bike up myself. Now I put the ramp back the way I took it out, put the straps away. Now we're gonna move this mast down to get ourselves prepped for the compact position. But to give ourselves a comparison for that compact position, we'll take some measurements. So the first thing I like to measure for is the length added to the back of our Durango. So from our bumper to the end of the rack, that's 34 inches. Something to keep in mind if, let's say, you have a small garage or need to back up into a small parking spot. The Durango's already on the larger-ish side for vehicles, but 34 inches is actually pretty small for a 2-bike platform rack. The next measurement is going to be ground clearance. So end of the rack to the ground is 26 inches. Now, I'm not concerned about bottoming out because the Durango's hitch is so high up. You've got great ground clearance. I'm more concerned about how high do I have to lift the bike up and onto the rack. This is pretty high up. So the good thing is you have your ramp included to help out with that. That's going to be an issue with most platform bike racks because this vehicle sits so high up, you have to lift high up. So again, having a ramp helps. Remember how we tilted the bike rack away? Well, you're going to do that exact same process. This time lift up on the rack, snaps into place, and don't forget to put that second pin back in. This is actually a common thing that people forget because of the presence of 2 pins. It's easy to forget to engage both of them. Now this is going to be our compact position. This is going to be how you'll have your bike rack when you're driving around town. Remember the measurement we took when the bike rack was down? Well, measuring from the same spot, this time to the end of the rack, it's 15 inches. Big difference compared to when it was folded down. Now, I do say this is great if you have that small garage, because then you take up less space, but also for safety purposes, this is going to be a great way for people on the road to see you. They don't always see the bike rack in a down position, but this will add a little bit more protection and visibility. This is what they'll see behind your Durango. So for you, plenty of visibility through your rear window, and your taillights are visible too. Now your backup camera sits right there, just above the bike rack. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna kind of be able to see through your backup camera. If there's any people or vehicles directly behind you, they should be visible, but you aren't gonna have as much visibility compared to not having a bike rack. So that is gonna be the trade-off for this design. Also, if you wanted to open up your hatch, you would have to bring the bike rack back down into the ready to load up bikes position. So if you're looking for a heavy duty bike rack for electric bikes, this is gonna be a great option. You have an 80-pound weight capacity, but you also have an off-road capacity rating of 48 pounds per bike, which is pretty impressive. Not many bike racks are also rated for off-road use. So if you are taking your Durango on some crazy adventures, this is going to be the rack that is reinforced to help you with that. Now, on the other side of it though, we did see that there was a lot of straps and pins and knobs that we had to work with to get the bike on and off of the rack. So if you're looking for something that's a bit more streamlined, check out something like the Rocky Mounts Gigawatt. Also really high weight capacity. That one is going to be a tire mount rack, which I like a bit more because then there's zero frame contact, especially for bikes that have very nice finishes. But the downside to the Gigawatt is the ramp is not attached to the rack. So if you're also a forgetful person like I am and leave the ramp behind at home and only realize it when you get to the trailhead, well, the Yakima OnRamp LX might be a better alternative for you. So hopefully this video just showed how it works on the Dodge Durango, why you might want a bike rack with a ramp because of that high ground clearance, and helped you pick the bike rack for you. This was a look at the Yakima OnRamp LX on 2024 Dodge Durango.